Hello friends, in the last video we have seen contributions of various quality gurus towards quality management. In this video we are going to discuss about Six Sigma principles and focus areas. Largely we are going to discuss about these topics. So let's begin. Let's first discuss about few definitions of Six Sigma. Philosophical perspective of Six Sigma views all work as processes that can be defined, measured, analyzed, improved and controlled, abbreviated as DMAC. Any process needs input and produces output. If you control the input, you can control the output. This can be represented in the form of y is equal to f of x. Now let's see another definition of Six Sigma. This definition of Six Sigma defines it as set of tools which includes all qualitative and quantitative techniques used by Six Sigma experts to drive process improvements. Examples of few such tools are voice of customer, FMEA, cause and effect diagram and process mapping. Now let's see another definition of Six Sigma. This definition of Six Sigma defines it as a rigorous methodology known as DMAC. This DMAC methodology contains a set of steps a Six Sigma expert is expected to follow, starting with identifying a problem to implementing a long-lasting solution. While there are many methodologies in use today, DMAC is most widely used, adopted and recognized methodology. Let's see another definition of Six Sigma. This definition of Six Sigma defines it as a metric with a quality performance of only 3.4 defects per million opportunities, accounting for 1.5 sigma shift in the mean. Friends, remember, in a stable process, the mean naturally shifts as much as 1.5 sigma in the long term on either side of its short term value. Friends, now let's see other few common definitions of Six Sigma. The other definition of Six Sigma are as below. Use of teams that are assigned well-defined project having direct impact on organization bottom line. The another definition of Six Sigma defines it as a training in statistical thinking at all level with extensive training in advanced statistics and project management to the key people in the organization. These key people are referred as Six Sigma black belts. The another common definition of Six Sigma is methodology which focuses on reducing process variation and enhancing the process controls. Friends, now let's see the difference between 3 Sigma and Six Sigma quality performance. Traditional model of process capability or 3 Sigma was applied to manufacturing alone, whereas Six Sigma was applied to all business processes. The capable process is one which has a process standard deviation no more than 1/6 of total allowable process spread, whereas in case of Six Sigma, process standard deviation is not more than 1/12 of total allowable spread. The traditional quality defined a process as capable when process natural spread is plus minus 3 sigma and it is lesser than specification limits. Whereas Six Sigma requires that process is operating in such a way that nearest engineering specification is at least 6 sigma distance from the process mean. Now friends, let's discuss about few organizational requirements for successful implementation of Six Sigma. The first requirement is management support. Six Sigma requires full support of upper management. The upper management or executives should establish project selection and approval criteria and define the standard for project success. Also, the upper management should select and train the deployment team. The second requirement for successful implementation of Six Sigma is resource allocation. Six Sigma works best when there is a critical mass of employees at all levels of company who are trained to lead and are part of project teams. Management support here helps to overcome the opposition that might arise when organization's best employees are taken away from their regular work. Friends, third requirement for successful implementation of Six Sigma is training. Any effort at Six Sigma implementation will only be successful if best quality of training is given to employees. Training begins at the executive level to help top managers to understand the vision of Six Sigma. The middle managers are trained to be Six Sigma champion and act as a project sponsor to lead the projects. Friends, fourth requirement for successful implementation of Six Sigma is data for decision making. The Six Sigma implementation process is totally based on data analysis. Gathering and interpretation of data are key aspect of Six Sigma. So friends, in this case, correct analysis of process data would provide the quantifiable information to make objective decisions. Whereas improvement based on incorrect or misinterpreted data would lead to inadequate process changes or process changes in the wrong area. Friends, now let's understand why 99% of quality performance is not good enough. Friends, let's understand this with the help of few examples showing difference between 99% quality rate and 99.99966% quality rate. So friends, let's see this first example. In the case of 4 Sigma quality performance, there are chances of at least 2 lakh wrong prescriptions every year. Whereas in case of 6 Sigma quality performance, there are chances of only 68 wrong prescriptions every year. So friends, you can understand the importance and the need of Six Sigma quality performance with the help of this single example. Issuing one wrong prescription itself will cause a severe damage to human body. So you can imagine how much damage can happen if 2 lakh wrong prescriptions are issued every year. Let's see another example. At 4 Sigma quality performance level, there is an expectation of 2 short or long landings at major airport every day. Whereas in case of 6 Sigma quality performance, there is an expectation of only 1 short or long landings at major airport every day. Friends, now let's see another example. In case of 4 Sigma quality performance, there is an expectation of 5,000 incorrect surgical procedures every week, whereas in case of 6 Sigma quality performance, for the same example, there is a possibility of only 1.7 incorrect surgical procedures every week. So friends, here also you can see the drastic reduction in number of incorrect surgical procedures happening in a duration of 1 week. Let's see another example. In case of 4 Sigma quality performance, there are chances of 20,000 lost mail articles every hour, whereas in case of 6 Sigma quality performance, there are chances of only 7 lost mail articles every hour. Let's see another example. In this example, at 4 Sigma quality performance level, there is a chance of unsafe drinking water for 15 minutes per day, whereas for the same case at 6 Sigma quality performance level, there is a chance of only 1 unsafe minute of drinking water every 7 months. So again friend, you can imagine and compare the drastic reduction in the defect level when you move from 4 Sigma quality to 6 Sigma quality performance. Friends, let's see last example in this case. So in the case of 4 Sigma quality performance, there is an expectation of no electricity for almost 7 hours every month, but for the same case, in the case of 6 Sigma quality performance, you can expect no electricity for almost 7 hours, but for the duration of once in a 5 years. So friends, 3 Sigma process capability was a historical standard at quality percentage of 93.32%, whereas 4 Sigma process capability is a current quality standard standing at 99.38% of quality. At last, 6 Sigma process quality standard is at 99.99% 99.9966% of quality level, which we call it as world-class quality level. So friends, now let's see few goals of Six Sigma. There are two major goals of Six Sigma. First one being improve performance of services, and then second one being reduce cost. So Six Sigma improves performance of services by reducing defect, by stabilizing process and increasing customer satisfaction. Whereas at the same time, Six Sigma implementation or Six Sigma methodology helps us to reduce the cost by improving efficiency, by eliminating various waste in a process or service, and by reducing the cost of poor quality. Friends, now let's briefly discuss about DMAC or DMAC cycle. Let's first understand what is this cycle about. DMAC cycle is a data-driven process improvement strategy, and it is an integral part of company's Six Sigma initiative. So part of define phase, we are expected to define the customer, their critical to quality issues, and the core business processes involved. Whereas in measure phase, we are supposed to measure the performance of core business process involved, develop a data collection plan for the processes, and collect data from many sources to determine the various types of defects and metrics. Now, in the case of analyze phase, we are expected to analyze the data collected and then process map to determine the root causes of defects and various opportunities for improvements. So to do that, one has to identify the gaps between current performance and goal performance or objective performance, and then prioritize various opportunities to improve, and then finally identify various sources of variation. So friends, in the improve phase, it is required to improve the target process by designing creative solution to fix and prevent the future and upcoming problems. Also, it is needed to generate innovative solution using technology and discipline, and then finally develop and deploy the implementation plan for the solutions identified. Friends, in the last phase of DMAC cycle known as control, one has to control the improvements to keep the process on the new course. One has to prevent the improvised process reverting back to the old process. Also develop, document and implement the ongoing monitoring plan. Friends, now let's discuss about few financial benefits of implementing Lean Six Sigma. The major benefit of implementing Lean Six Sigma is the cultural change generated by fully accepted initiative. Friends, now let's discuss few financial benefits of Six Sigma one by one. The first one being revenue generation. Six Sigma projects can be targeted to boost the revenue of the businesses. While design for Six Sigma or DFSS projects are more focused on revenue, DMAC projects can also lead to significant increase in revenue. The second part of financial benefit, or the second aspect of financial benefit of implementing Lean Six Sigma is increased volume. Higher volume of an existing product or services sold due to increased customer satisfaction and improved distribution through geographic coverage, number of shops, higher productivity of existing channel, etc. So friends, next financial benefit of implementing Lean Six Sigma is reduction of cost. This is the category in which majority of Six Sigma projects are implemented. This category includes reduced material cost, increased productivity in terms of labor cost saving, and then finally reduction of cost of poor quality. Cost of poor quality or reduction of cost of poor quality includes internal and external failure cost, prevention cost, and appraisal cost and other related costs. Friends, now let's see the overview of variation reduction in Six Sigma methodology. From this graph you can see the right side and left side of upper and lower specification limit respectively represents the region of customer complaint. Moment the product or service goes beyond these specification limits, you will start getting customer complaints. Friends, the region between the lower and upper specification limit represents the region of specified performance. This region, the product and services are expected to perform this region of performance. Friends, also you can see as the process spread narrows down from wider to narrow, the cost of production or services also reduces. Process variation should be less than the product specifications, and variation reduction also leads to cost reduction. What exactly we are looking here by implementing Lean Six Sigma methodology? In this diagram we can see various representation of precision and accuracy. First image shows high precision but very low accuracy. Second image shows less of precision but high accuracy. Third image shows very less of precision and very less of accuracy. The last image you can see the high amount of precision and high amount of accuracy. So this is the ultimate goal or ultimate aim of Lean Six Sigma methodology. Friends, let's discuss about few basic Six Sigma metrics. First one is Six Sigma level, then defective versus defects, then DPU or defects per unit. The next one is DPO or defects per opportunity. Then next one is DPMO or also called as defects per million opportunity. And then last we will discuss about PPM, also known as parts per million. Friends, Sigma level or Six Sigma level is also represented by Z scores. We will discuss in detail about these Z scores in another upcoming videos. Now let's discuss and understand about defects and defectives. Defective is an item or service which has one or more than one defects. Defect is a failure to conform the requirements for a product or service. So here we are referring to customer requirement for a product or service, or it is a failure to meet customer requirements or specifications. So in this image, on this diagram, you can see the toaster which is having more than one defects is an example of a defective piece. So let's see few examples of defective and defects. Say for example, a defective mobile phone doesn't allow you to search and call any person, or a defective shirt has missing stitches or untrimmed threads. Friends, now let's discuss about DPU and DPO. So DPU is the measure of average number of defects per unit of a product. This is represented by, or this is calculated by dividing total number of defects by total units inspected. So friends, now let's discuss about DPO or defects per opportunity. DPO represents the total defects divided by total opportunities. Total number of defects are divided by total number of opportunities for defects available. Friends, do remember here, DPO is a preliminary calculation to help to calculate the DPMO. Multiply DPO by 1 million to calculate DPMO value. Let's consider this example. If there are 34 defects out of 750 units, each unit having 10 opportunities, then DPO is calculated. The one example here to calculate DPO. Let's consider there are 34 defects out of 750 units, each unit having 10 opportunities for defects. Then DPO is calculated this way. Take 34 in numerator and then in denominator multiply 750 units by 10, 10 being opportunities for defects. So this comes to be 0.0045, which is nothing but DPO. Friends, now let's discuss about DPMO. So friends, let's discuss now about DPMO. DPMO is a ratio of total number of defects in 1 million opportunities when an atom contains more than one defect. DPMO is calculated by multiplying DPU by 1 million and then dividing the multiplication by total opportunities for defect in one unit. For example, a data entry form contains 15 fields of information, and if 10 forms of this data entry forms are sampled and total 26 defects are found in the sample, then DPMO is calculated as below. Divide 26 by 10 again by 15 and then multiply by 1 million to arrive at DPMO. So friends, here remember 26 is total defects found and 10 is the total number of samples inspected and 15 is representing here as total number of opportunities for defect in each form. Friends, now let's discuss about ppm. ppm is nothing but parts per million. It is a measure of total number of defective atoms in 1 million atoms. ppm is calculated by dividing total number of defective units found in a given sample by sample size and then multiplying it by 1 million. So for example, a sample of 50 mobile phone has 3 phone defectives. Then ppm is calculated as below. Divide 3 by 50 and then multiply same by 1 million. So which comes to be 60,000 ppm defective. The key learnings which we have completed in this video: we have learned various definition of Six Sigma. We have also learned about difference between 3 Sigma and 6 Sigma quality performance. Then we have seen few organization requirements for successful implementation of 6 Sigma. After that we have seen difference between 4 Sigma quality performance and 6 Sigma quality performance with the help of many practical examples. Then we have seen few goals of 6 Sigma. After that we have discussed in brief about what is DMAC and the DMAC cycle. Then friends, we have seen few of the financial benefits of implementing Lean Six Sigma. Then we have understood variation reduction in Six Sigma with the help of normal distribution graph showing wider process variation and narrow process variation. Also we have discussed about precision and accuracy and requirements of precision and accuracy level in Lean Six Sigma implementation. And at last we have discussed about basic Six Sigma metrics. So friends, for this video, ASQ Six Sigma Black Belt Handbook and referred or collected the information from shmuller.com and also from isixsigma.com. So friends, I am closing this video for now. In the next video, we'll discuss on other Six Sigma metrics and Six Sigma roles and responsibilities in further detail. So for now, thanks for watching this video and bye. If you have liked this video, don't forget to subscribe this channel and press bell icon to get further update from my channel. Finally, thanks again and thanks for watching and bye.